Hi, welcome to Primer & Co.'s Terminology Tuesday, where we cover the terminology and terms in firearms world that can be confusing to new shooters. We started a series on the 4 rules of firearm safety. Last week I talked about not pointing your muzzle at anything you don't want to destroy. Today I'm going to talk about the next rule, which is keep your finger off the trigger until you're ready to shoot. And there's some nuance to this that maybe is not as cut and dry as it may seem. You will see some firearms instructors and different people talk about prepping the trigger, getting on the trigger early. What they mean in this case is that, like, we've drawn or we've already got our gun and we're getting on target. Maybe we don't have a perfect sight picture, but we're getting that finger on the trigger early. That's not what we're talking about. You've decided that you're shooting, you're getting, you've got a rough sight picture, or you're roughly pointing in the direction, in a safe direction, and you're getting your finger on the trigger. That's common. Defer to your firearms trainer in that case. What we're talking about is when we're not shooting, there's not a target that is initially being shot, so we're getting our finger off the trigger. So when we do that, we're not just getting it off right now. So if I have my finger here, I'm off the trigger, right? Finger here, trigger there, not touching. This is not what we want. Even as you can see here, like going straight across, I am off the trigger, but this is also not a real ideal place to put it. And the reason for that is if I were to fall, or if something startled me, if something happened, a lot of times our natural tendency is to like tighten up, our muscles to tighten up. So if I'm in this situation and I tighten up, my finger can just skip right past that trigger guard, right onto the trigger. So what we really want, and this is with pistols, long guns, doesn't matter. We want our finger off the trigger and like with a pistol higher up. So either on the frame or if you can, up on the slide. This way, when that happens and I tense up, my muscles tense, well, my finger can't go anywhere. It's hitting solid metal here. So you'll see a lot of people that as soon as you hand them a gun, they grab it and their finger goes in the trigger guard. I think a lot of some of this may come from movies. I think some of it is we grasp with all of our fingers. If someone handed you this cylinder here, I'm going to grab all my fingers. You want all your hand on whatever you're grabbing. Obviously, that's not what we want to do. That's a habit we have to get out of with firearms. So we've got these bottom 3 fingers, 2 or 3 fingers, depending on the size of the grip. We've got our thumb wrapped around. But that finger we want high off the trigger guard. And this is even something we do if we're transitioning. If I've shot some of a target and then I'm coming off and I got to go run over here, well, my finger is coming off, going high up. I'm going to run over here. I've got plenty of time as I'm setting up to shoot to then get my finger back on the trigger. But what we wouldn't want is that I shoot, I take my hand off, my finger stays in the trigger, I start running, I fall, and boom, the gun goes off. So again, this is why at first it takes some conscious practice. You can practice on the range if you have a safe place in your house. Again, making sure that the gun's not pointing at anything you don't tend to destroy. You could just practice. When I come up on target, my finger goes on the trigger. When I come off, my finger goes up. On, off. And in this case, I've got a safety on this. I've practiced just engaging the safety when I'm coming off target, I'm not shooting. So when my finger goes up, the safety goes on. If it's a striker-fired gun, something that doesn't have a manual safety, you still have that practice, coming off. Okay, my finger goes up. On target, off. Even there, okay, now I'm up because I know I'm not shooting. As you're bringing it in. This is stuff, especially when we get into competition or defensively. Seek out good firearms instructors. Listen to what they say. I'm not necessarily telling you what to do, just some things to consider when we're talking about finger off the trigger and the safety aspect there. And this whole thing applies to long guns as well. And it's something like a AR-15, modern sporting rifle, whatever you call it, it's almost easier. Your hand's so high up, when I put my finger out, it's straight. It's on that, it's really on the magazine release. You could put it a little higher if you wanted, or if you don't want to accidentally, run into the mag release. But getting that finger up high and not, resting here or down low somewhere where that could be hit. On this, it's easy. Shotgun, you can do the same thing. Other kinds of guns, revolvers, same thing. You want to get it high up, but we don't want there to be an issue where something happens and we pull that trigger accidentally. And with a gun like this, I've got a grip safety. This prevents the so if I don't push that grip safety in, that prevents the trigger from getting pulled. Even if that's pushed in, if the safety's on, that prevents it. But these are mechanical. The little piece of metal on the grip safety that blocks the trigger, that could break off. Something can happen with the thumb safety where that doesn't work, or it looks like it's pushed in but it's in a half position. And these are mechanical internal safeties on striker fired guns, all internal. They can break. So very few NDs, negligent discharges or accidental discharges, are caused by mechanical failures of the gun. I don't know percentage, but I would say almost every one of them is somebody getting their finger on the trigger and pressing it when they don't intend to. There's many times where it's a quote-unquote accident. They didn't mean to do it, but their finger somehow got in there and it went off. If we get ourselves trained and programmed that finger is up high, it makes it way harder for that to happen, and that's what we want. We never want to have this gun go off without us intending for it to go off. So I hope that helps. If any of this is confusing, you have any extra questions or anything, feel free to comment down below, send us a private message, an email. We'd love to help you out, and we hope to see you out in the range.